something else also happened. Before Sable fixed, the multiversal wall, other villains were transported into more reality. This time we're focusing on Batman. There's, let me decide which one. Let's do the game version. So this is it. This is my version of Otto Octavius. First of all, his arms can practically break anything. Right? There's this chaos ball, right? Which can be stored to use anything, and he was trapped in there, and he easily broke out within 2 minutes. He also broke it with his hand, not even his tentacle arms, and not even Thor's hammer. Even 500 of Thor's hammers from different universes were combined into one, and he launched at this ball, and it didn't even do a scratch. He also has infinite arms, so even if you do take one out, it just regrows, and he can actually have an infinite amount of arms. His arms can survive almost anything. Bullets. It can even survive the Eiffel Tower being crashed. I think the max thing it could survive would be New York City. The entire thing of New York City would fall on him. He would survive, but his arms would be pretty broken. So yeah, we don't know a lot about him. Okay, we also got Shocker mixed with Electro. Basically, now what he uses is that he uses both of them, so he can break electronics really easily. So he just, like, in one example of a battle there, Silver Sable is using a ship, right, the one we see in the game, and then he jumps onto the back of it, and then he sees the main control panel located there, and he grabs it, and then he uses his shockwaves to break it. And then he goes to and then he just jumps off, and while he's jumping off, he shoots electricity at it. Right? Next is Scorpion. Right? He has this new purple, new purple symbiote. Venom, right? With one injection, it could kill you. Not even hallucinate. Just straight up kill you. Just like that. It stops everything that runs in your body. Okay? Next is Mysterio. This time, he's actually real. Right? Basically, what he does is that... How do I say this? He uses his own version of the Speed Force he created. It's not like a Speed Force. It's where he draws his power from. Basically, he's it. He was a regular Mysterio, right? But he used, like Tom Holland's one. He used drones. But he realized that if he ran out of drones or he lost control of them, he would be powerless. So he tried to make a machine into giving him the powers that he wanted without the drone, so like he could actually do real damage. Like, how do I say this? His hallucinations are no longer hallucinations, right? Bunch of upgrades like that. But Otto Octavius was there, and he was at the back of the machine, and his reality's version of Otto Octavius, and when it was working, and when it was being used on him, he was inside. Otto Octavius used all of his arms, his reality's version of Otto Octavius, and he launched it in the back of the machine, causing it to malfunction and like make this huge ball, right, just covering almost, like, I would say, the entirety of New York, right? But it wasn't really affected. It just, it didn't really do anything. He was just up in the center, in the sky, right? And Otto Octavius, with his last willpower, sent something out. He knew this would eventually happen. He used the Mind Stone. No, I'm sorry. He used the Time Stone, and he made an invention that would let him see into the future, right? Because he thought his body couldn't handle it. So, and he saw this happening. So he sent out this tech, like nanotech, that flew into him and then wrapped around his body, giving him his upgraded suit and absorbed that ball into him. But eventually that tech failed. And we see Mysterio on the verge of life and death. He's directly in the center. Black right here, white right here. Life and death. And there was a clock right in front of him with time ticking, and it had a little text that he managed to read out saying Mysterio's time. And he realized that he had a choice: either continue living or just end it right now. But Mysterio made a third option. He got so mad that if he chose life, his family would die eventually. He would manage to outlive them, right? And you might be saying, no, it wouldn't make him immortal. How do I say this? It extends his life. Basically, that clock was his life, and if he chose life, it would return it. Not to make him into a baby or anything, but boom, his time is back up. So he has a lot more time left. But that means that he'll watch everyone he loves die. And with this fit of anger, something weird happened. He was hallucinating. And then he saw it. You know that ball that psychics use? He saw it, and he realized, and he didn't know what was going on. And he was like, should I take it? And he had an idea. He broke it and grabbed the thing inside, and then and when he grabbed it, he was in his suit, but in that same spot. And he realized that maybe he can just outlive death itself. He used his powers to combine it like a smoothie, right? And then it combined and boom, he was in a room, a gray room. We can see black stuff dripping. It's not venom, just so you know, or any form of him. It's the essence of death, and eventually we see death approach him. And death even admits himself that no one has been able to do this. He himself thought that nobody would be able to access the superpowers in that area, but he did. And then he does it. He tries to, but he misses. And what he sees is his soul, but it's not like anyone else's soul. It's glowing blue, just like that ball he absorbed, and it snaps for him. The only reason he got his superpowers was because his superpowers were contained in that ball, right? And since he was on the verge of death, and he was being teleported there, that was absorbed into him, right? which allowed him to use his power. So he was dying and then he was being transferred there, but his body got that ball inserted into him thanks to Otto Octavius, which allowed him to use his powers there, right? And Mysterio has an idea. How do I say this? He sees a book, Fathom Out of Green Energy, in front of him. He reads through the pages, and he finds a spell to rule somebody's brain, so they'll be under your control no matter what. And that's what he says the spell out loud, and he rips the page, and the symbols fly out green. And Death tries to stop it, but he can't. Whenever he takes a step forward, he falls down and evaporates, eventually reforming. And then all the green characters floating in the air go on his body and combine together to make chains, green chains that are whispering something. Right? And then Death has an idea. If he managed to, Death itself, then maybe the spell would be broken. Because, because whenever Death dies, it causes an explosion. But this time, before he even realized it, there was something green inside Death's chest, and when he realized it, it was too late. He exploded in energy that even engulfed Mysterio. When Mysterio woke up, he tried to summon the notebook, but he couldn't. He tried to use his powers and they worked, so it seemed like that now he didn't need the book. He uses his hallucination powers on himself, and he sees Death coming for him, right? And he needs a test, so he goes to New York, and then he finds a robber trying to mug somebody in an alleyway. He quickly uses the spell on them, and he also sees what's going on with him. So the robber's in control, but Mysterio can also see what's going on, and Death is coming after him. So, and he lets it happen, right? And then he flies away. And he realizes that maybe he can save his friends and family. Right? So he goes to Avengers Tower, and he uses his powers to trick all the Avengers into thinking he's not there. And he goes in and he searches the database, and he finds the 3 essence of power located in Doctor Strange's palace. Right? Basically, what this does is that this allows him, when absorbed, to wish for anything. 3 wishes for each ball. So he knows that maybe his spell won't work on Doctor Strange. So he manages to sneak into Doctor Strange's place, and then he finds an abandoned notebook, and he reads out the spell that gives him somewhat of Doctor Strange's abilities. Like, he can summon portals to other realities and stuff, but this time they're green. And also now you can open portals into what I'm now calling it, Mysterio's nightmare realm, with Death in it, So So yeah, right? that's what's happening. But it does do a toll on his body. So he makes a portal and he summons a monster near Doctor Strange's place, and Doctor Strange fights it, and then he immediately breaks in, grabs them, and absorbs them. He does it accidentally too. He grabs them, and then due to the high energy, it malfunctions his suit, and then boom, he absorbs them. And he's in a dark place, and he realizes that maybe if he manages to outsmart whatever being's here, he can get even more wishes. So when the being comes, he uses his power and turns the being into a human, and the human, and he's like, "What did you do to me?" He tries to attack, but Mysterio grabs his arm and then breaks it, just grabs it, right? And he's like, "What do you want?" And he's like, "Give me give me the wishes now." And he's like, "I was gonna do that anyway." And he's like, "I just like to see people suffer, I guess." And he gets the 3 wishes. First of all, now his powers won't do a toll on his body. Now he can use his powers at will, even without the suit. And also to upgrade his suit massively, right? Also the ability to, how do I say this? Like, shoot green electricity, yeah. And more, right? But he stops and he realizes, hey, what does Death want? And he's like, I was gonna wait, but wanna know what? I was sent, and you have Death under control, and I don't really want to mess with you. You have me as a slave right now, so let's make a deal. You won't be permanently killed along with everyone you love, but you have to take the place of Death. And without hesitation, he agrees, because he doesn't want his family members to suffer because of his consequences, right? And then boom, right? Mysterio is now the new Death. Oh, but what about Otto Octavius? So this is what's happening. He's working for Oscorp, and he sees visions of Tobey Maguire's and Yuri's Spider-Man battling it out, and he wakes up. And he realizes that this might be the end of the universe, or his universe, right? And he realizes that maybe he should make his own suit. So that's what he does, and he keeps on having visions, but he manages to manipulate his visions into getting more intel about the suits, the weaknesses and stuff, and he designs his suit specifically around those weaknesses. So with Yuri's, first of all, the neural link is the main thing. And also, breaking the arms is another weakness, because, well, if you just break all the arms, it's useless. So now the Force is enough to stop the Eiffel Tower with just one of the arms. He realizes that maybe he should also get rid of the weaknesses of the other suits, and fix them in his. So he sets off on an adventure to find an abandoned Oscorp, a magic facility, right? It was used to make magic and stuff, like portals and stuff like that. And he finds this stone, and he knows what it's used for, right? he reads the intel and he finds out that this thing can be used to wish for one thing only, right? So like, oh, unlimited food, boom, but the stone has to be in you the entire time. So he takes it and he quickly goes back, but he still continues, doesn't use it yet. His plan is to use the stone and give him unlimited arms, right? Or why not just wish for them? Because he has visions of even more of them coming. And then he sees a faint vision of himself being defeated. And he's like, even when you had that thing that supposedly let you defeat me, you still failed, right? So he doesn't use it like that. He uses it to give himself unlimited arms, right? One goes out, boom, it just another one just goes out, right? And what else? He also realizes that he may be a target of it, and the neural link, right? Right? So what he does is that he manages to make a robot that does surgery on himself to make the neural link into a long wire that goes through his body directly into his brain. So now there's no weakness of the neural link. And then for himself, he realizes that maybe he should visit Sable. He immediately breaks in, and they're doing a pretty good job. They're mainly aiming at him, but he manages to block him, and he manages to steal one item, right? Basically, it's the only complete version of the invincible suit, right? It's an invincible suit, right? It's just all white. It's like, you know, it's like Hammerhead's suit in the video game. Just imagine all the opening spots of black and stuff in the suits, just white, like just completely white, covered up, and also it being the sides for Otto Octavius, right? And now he's invincible, but he realizes that it doesn't cover his face, right? So he visits Doctor Strange and he says, listen, I have fears of a villain attacking this place. And the dude's got like giant metal tentacle on you. What? Are you really gonna doubt him? I think there's a spider. I don't think that's a spider. Give me a minute, guys. Nope, I don't think that's a spider. Yeah, no, okay, but yeah. So why wouldn't you trust the guy? And he says, fine, I'll give you the time stone, right? Right? And then he goes into the future and he sees that Osborn turns into a Green Goblin and he makes his own mask to protect his face that's completely invincible. So he quickly activates his machine that transports him at that exact moment he was thinking of, right? I forgot to mention that. And then he gets transported there out of a green portal. And they also did a huge flashbang, so Doctor Strange is on the ground right now. And then the portal closes. He visits Otto Octavius and he visits Green Goblin, and Green Goblin's like, huh, I thought you died years ago. And he said, I'm from the past. Give me your helmet now. And he's like, why would I do? And immediately, wait, he's on the ground, right? And immediately, just like that, he gets attacked, and the helmet is ripped off him, and then Otto Octavius throws Green Goblin off the building, and we see him fall and die. Otto Octavius goes into an abandoned building and he uses the helmet to make his own version that's better, and he's made it the first invincible part. It's literally almost invincible, right? But just But he realizes that, hey, what if I get trapped in it? What if my oxygen supply depletes? So he makes it so that only his arms, not other Otto Octavius arms, only his specifically, will work on breaking the mask, right? And then he connects the switch and boom, he's ready for battle, but he still has to get back into his time. So how does he do it? He sees Mysterio, aka Death, right in front of him, and he's like, Mysterio's like, I thought you were dead. I killed you. I saw you die. And he's like, I'm from the past, you know. I'm tired of explaining it, you fool. And he's like, you're not supposed to be here. I'm gonna have to kill you, dude. I can't risk you knowing about anything. And he's like, let's make a team. I am invincible. Not even you can kill me now. Try it. And he tries, and it doesn't do anything, right? Even death itself crawls up to him, and boom, nothing. And then he immediately hits death with his arms, and it goes flying into the distance. And then immediately he tries to turn, and boom, he's blocked by a force field. Right? And then he uses his arms and he breaks through it easily. And then he's falling through, right? It's like a broken reality. It's white with broken shards of blackness everywhere. And then he has an idea. He uses his arms and he manages to form them into one circle, right? And he's like, maybe this will help somehow. Right? Because he can't die unless death touches him in this reality. And even when death tried, it failed. And then boom, he lands with the circle. And then the shards start circling and boom. He's back there and Mysterio's like, wow. Wow. Been doing this thing for 20 billion years, you know. And he's like, no, you haven't. He's like, time's relative to you. In your reality, it hasn't been 22 million years. But for me, as death, it has. And then he's like, let's make a team. I think I could really use your help in the final battle. And he's like, you got yourself a deal. And they shake hands, but Otto Octavius puts a device in Mysterio's hand. And he's like, pleasure to be doing business with ya. Now take me back, right? And boom, just like that, a green smoke covers him. And when he's there, he's back in his lab. When he realizes that maybe he should have analyzed Mysterio. So, you know like how Otto and Octavius' arms in the Spider-Man PS4 games have their like, you know that part, like it's pointy and then it goes like, you know that part? It's like that, but this time it's on all the arms and they actually analyze the environment along with everyone there when Otto Octavius thinks about it. And also that track is also analyzing all the data and stuff. Right? So what about Electro and Shocker? Well, it's simple. They found out how to kill him. And it's to use them both against them. Basically, they're good about to be killed. Spider-Man is retired, as you know. And then he realizes, wait, no, they were killed a long time ago. This isn't my reality. And he checks and it's a different reality. But basically in this reality, Electro doesn't use a suit. It's all natural. He just wears a flashy costume, you know, like so that way his clothes don't like tear up when he's using the electricity. But it's all natural. But thanks to Shocker's waves, that actually does a lot of damage on the brain. And if enough is done, then boom, his brain stops working and boom, Electro's gone. But the same thing applies there. because they realize that they haven't known this, but without the suit, he's nothing. He's just a regular person, so they're gonna use electricity to kill him. And I think you know where this is for me. They're in the same room using the same power grid. And this is what happens. Right? Otto Octavius breaks into Avengers Tower, and Thor tries to throw his hammer at him, but immediately Otto Octavius grabs it by the handle, and he's like, How are you doing this? No one can lift Mjolnir unless I've been analyzing you guys. Oh yeah, by the way, it's been like it's been a year, and they're just doing this now, so yeah. He's like, I've been analyzing you a long time, and I know that with the right tech, I can manipulate Mjolnir's sound waves into making it so that it gets heavier anytime someone's unworthy, and I just overpowered it. And boom, he hits Black Widow with it, just like that, and he can't call it back because, you know, of course, but he can lift it and shoot it, which is good. Right? Iron Man tries to do something about it, right? But he immediately gets hit, and he calls Spider-Man. He's like, "Hey kid, I think one of your buds is attacking us." And he's like, "Which one?" And he's like, "Long arms, really ugly, probably really ugly behind the mask. He's giving me kind of dirty vibes right now." And he's like, "Oh, him, I'll be right there." And boom, and he's like, "No, this isn't mine. He isn't mine. No way. He isn't, no." And he tries, and then Otto Octavius tries to hit him, but then Spider-Man jumps up, and then he webs the arm to the ground, but boom, he breaks through the webbing, and then he hits Spider-Man right on top, and right just like, he goes like, right, like, immediately just hits Iron Man. And that force is so strong that it actually destroyed the suit, and it did so much that not even the nanotech's working anymore. And then boom, the suit is malfunctioning, and then Otto Octavius grabs Iron Man, and then he has an idea. He says that he has an idea. He realizes that the suit can eventually be overpowered so much that it explodes, right? So Thor does this spell that uses, like, I would say, the entire world's energy in a volt, and tries to hit it at Octavius. Spider-Man's like, "No, that's gonna kill him," but it's too late. And then he uses Iron Man as cover, and it hits Iron Man's arc reactor, and then he absorbs it, and then he immediately throws Iron Man on Thor, and then boom, he explodes, like, huge amount. Right? By a huge amount. And he still had Mjolnir on him, but you know how Mjolnir works? This is how it works in like my version. Like, it's generally in my version, right? Realities, you know. Basically, the Mjolnir can bring someone back to death when they're on the verge of it. But if you're about to die while you're holding Mjolnir, and you're worthy, and you're about to die, like oh, you're dying, you call Mjolnir, it revives you. But if you're about to die while still using Mjolnir, then it won't help you, right? It will protect you, but yeah, but Thor manages to survive barely. Tony Stark's ejection actually worked. Basically, it ejected him out of the suit using some backup. Basically, it ejected him out of the suit, and then some backup thrusters flew out of the tower, and it landed on they went to his feet, and then they boosted him out of there, right? And for Spider-Man, he managed to survive because, well, it's simple. He upgraded his suit a lot. So now when he's analyzing something, his lens turned blue, right? When it's purple, that means it's like energy tracking mode where you can track energy and so on. So he quickly just, wait, how do I say this? He uses, how do I say this? It's really hard. He quickly runs down near the tower, and what he does is actually cool. He actually uses the remaining nanotech to make like this circle, right? And it's like a spiral, right? And then he does a spell that he learned from Doctor Strange, which he uses like a shield, a magical orange shield to protect him, right? You might be saying, oh, why did that work? It's because Iron Man was actually working, you know, like so that he could use spells with his tech, you know. And Black Widow's just dead. Like, there ain't no way she can survive, bro. Hulk was the only reason Hulk survived is because he managed to absorb the energy. Well, basically, when he absorbs the electricity, he can grow any part of his body, any part, and he can also raise the defense of it. So when he absorbed all that electricity, he just used all of it, every single volt of it, to make the strongest shield cover all around his skin, everywhere, just on his body. So that explosion practically did nothing. And yes, thousands of people did die. Okay. And then we see Mysterio pull in, and he's like, I respect it, but it makes my job a hell of a lot harder. He's like, here's this. And he throws him some tech, and he's like, what'll this do? Right? And it like goes on his fingertips, and it makes his fingertips metal, and he's like, what'll this do? Huh? And then he's starting to get angry, but then boom, a bunch of souls start flying into a metal hole in his hand, right? And he's like, hey, that's neat, I guess. And then he gets out of there, right? And the Avengers can't attack. The Avengers can't attack because they're recovering. Like, Spider-Man doesn't want to deal with that guy just yet. He's still trying to process what happened. So yeah, that's it for part one. This is the origin, you know.